Yes.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Good evening, audience and participants. Welcome to the webinar, Impact of the Pandemic on the Pass Out Students. Really a relevant topic indeed. The board results were declared a few weeks before, but unlike previous years when pass outs would look forward to the new chapter in their life, this year their plans have suffered a certain amount of uncertainty. Due to the overcast of the pandemic, they have been presented, pass out students have been presented with unique set of problems. On the one hand, class 12 pass outs have to select colleges, and if they had plans of studying outside their hometown, that they had to select the college courses completely online, select the colleges completely online. To that, also the college graduate students, to them set of challenges were different because for those who might have had job offers and they had to deal with rescinded job offers. Also, if they wanted to pursue higher studies, that plan was clouded due to the pandemic. In fact, this was a very difficult time for them, for the pass out students. Their planned academic and professional career somewhat really was dismantled. Uh, but they're at a very important juncture of their life, and some very hard decisions had to be taken regarding their plans for college and their plans for higher studies and their professional career. The parents try to support them and give them strength, but as you can see, this is really an unprecedented situation, and that one that parents couldn't relate to. Um, Today, the discussion today, our session today, the webinar, we will try and reach out to these young friends, young students who have had to wade through the uncertainty that the pandemic had brought face to face with, and also try to see how we can help them, how we can support them. To address today's issue session, we have eminent psychiatrist and psychotherapist, Dr. Rajashree Ray Bandyopadhyay. Thank you, ma'am. She's a specialist in mental health and addiction. She's also a professor in psychiatry. Formerly, she was with the NHS UK as a consultant psychiatrist and clinical director. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for addressing our session today. After the session, our speaker will take questions from the audience. Participants are requested to leave their question in the chat box of the video conferencing platform. As the webinar is also being streamed live on YouTube, we will also take questions from the channel's comment section. Please leave your questions there. Definitely, Dr. Bandyopadhyay will try to address as many questions as possible. Thank you, ma'am, again. Thank you for addressing our session. Before we start this session, I would request Ms. Ina Bose, our director, to please give her opening remarks. Ma'am.
Thank you, Indrila. Let me first formally thank Dr. Rajashree Ray Bandyopadhyay. She has been a real help in agreeing to my request of attending the session. I've been knowing her probably for the last maybe 8-9 years, but now we have connected with each other after at least 7-8 years, I think 6-7 years. There was a gap in between, but I thought that she would be the best person to advise us, our students, some of our faculties, the parents on this particular issue, where during this uncertain times, we are all in a mess of mental, psychological, and yes, at times physical too, problems. So we have with us here also Anindita Mukherjee. She's the faculty of our psychological department and our counselor at Sister Nivedita University. Anindita has been handling issues on a day-to-day basis for our students. Dr. Rajashree will be able to guide her too and guide all of us, especially the parents, on how to conduct the mental state of our children. Dr. Rajashree, we also have with us here some of our principals. I can see Ms. Nandini Dashgupta. She is the principal of our Techno India Group Public School, Jalpaiguri. So I'm sure a few more will join soon. So now we are actually reaching out to students all across the state because our schools are spread all over West Bengal. We'll be going live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So even if they can't attend this particular session now, I'm sure they will reach out and see the recordings later on at their convenience. Dr. Rajashree, I will not take much of your time. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening to all my friends, colleagues, and the whole faculty of Techno family and Sister Nivedita University. It is indeed my great pleasure and honor to be here with you this evening to participate in a topic that is very close to most of us, whether we are students ourselves, whether we are parents, or whether we are teachers. I will not make a formal presentation because in such cases, it's nice to be able to talk from the heart because I am a parent myself and I'm also going through very similar anxieties as to a lot of you, and I have 2 children to raise at the same time and a doctor who's seeing many children coming to us and talking about these issues. As I mentioned to Madam Bose and Ms. Mukherjee that I'll speak for the first 45 minutes and then I'll leave the floor open to question and answers for the next 10 to 15 minutes. We know the world today is witnessing the first global pandemic that is absolutely unprecedented in the scale of the challenges it has created for public health response and the historical context in which all this is unfolding. It is very similar in some ways to the 2003 SARS that we all have heard about, the severe acute respiratory syndrome that was contained fairly quickly. But the COVID-19 is started engulfing this world from last November, and we really can't see any end to it. It's like a rapidly spreading dark cloud. And quite naturally, our sense of loss here is frightening. The impact is thought to be of such a large magnitude that even if we can actually finally halt the spread of this physical spread of this disease through all this expeditious use of quarantine and social distancing, we will still have to contend fighting with the mental health effects in the longer term, the effect on the education system, and the effect on the wider economy and the global society. In the past, from whether the pandemics, the flus, the wars, we know that education has had a backseat. There have been many incidents where schools and colleges had to be closed for months on end. But even then, those were times when things somehow got along. It was a defined time period. But now what is happening is we do not know what the long-term consequences, what the long-term timelines that we have, because the future looks very difficult. So we are improvising, we are innovating, and as we face the situations, as more information comes, we are changing the ways we are fighting. But sadly, mental health consequences have rippled through the communities, causing increased stress, anxiety, phobias, panic attacks, PTSD, depression, adjustment issues, and even substance misuses along the way. Children are our most vulnerable group because they are most precious, they're the future of our generations, and we're extremely fond of our children. We also feel as adults we have a very special responsibility for them, because in a way we are responsive and responsible to how they react, how they grow up to become responsible citizens themselves. The timing this pandemic hit India was late February, beginning of March, middle of March. This is a crucial time in the whole academic year because some children are taking final board exams, some children are taking admissions into nursery, some children are preparing to go abroad to study, some children are taking preparations for competitive exams. So it's not just like a summer vacation, June, July effect, where a lot of things have been sorted out. Not sure what the providential thing was, but in India, when it struck, somehow Providence had its way of choosing a time when it was extremely important in terms of educational systems. The two most difficult, the categories in the whole, at the moment we know worldwide there's 1.6 billion children. 90% of school children are out of the traditional classroom-based teaching. They're not out of the educational system, but they have stopped the traditional classroom-based teaching. Please be reminded that some students had always been taught from home, school homes, homeschooling as we call it, or online distance education, because many children, they've not been able to go to school for different reasons, for remote geographical reasons, or maybe parents are working in different countries and continents, a lot of shifting takes place, or sometimes we know children of royal families or of very important people are not able to go to general schools and they receive homeschooling. A lot of children also do remote online teaching. So there has already been a category of children who are used to this sort of teaching. But imagine 90% of school children across the world having shifted to a huge online-based teaching methodology. Today's talk, of course, is not to do with this online schooling, but specifically to focus on those children who were in a huge, big transitional stage in their lives. When they get their voting rights in India, they were at that stage when they were not going to be defined as a child anymore, but an adult or a young adult. They were at that stage when they were going to leave the comforting areas, the zones of their schools, where they probably spent about more than 14 years and move on to a college and university life. They were at that stage when they would have probably left their home nest and have traveled abroad to pursue further education. So here are those children who were preparing for years and months and days leading up to their final class 12 exams. And I salute those children across the world who successfully survived those few months. If I was sitting here and giving this talk way back in March end, when lockdown was declared on the 3rd week of March, it would have been very different. At that point, I would have had no clue how these children have shown tremendous resilience and tremendous hope in helping to survive the last 4 months of the pandemic. It's much easier now for us to be here and say, because now we know that colleges have opened their admission process. Of course, the technicalities are different, the processes are different, the methodologies are different. But finally, it has happened. Even 3 months ago, when we were the first set of lockdowns, we did not know whether exams would be held at all, whether they'd be able to recomplete those exams, what and what else. But at least now all the boards have successfully, to a comparatively satisfactory level, come out with a reasonable way to help these students cross this hurdle, one of the biggest hurdles in life that we can. So of course things have moved on, but just let us for a moment pause here and rewind the clocks and think ourselves as adults in our mid-40s, in our 40s and 50s and 60s, how it was to feel like that 18-year-old child who, in a way, suddenly was sitting for their board exams, had prepared for nights. Some of them had fantastic, hopes, had dreams, had sparkle in their eyes. to think, of getting a merit in the boards, of fulfilling and achieving their dream stages, of, rankings in India, getting a huge number, or being possibly the first girl child in their family to have crossed this mark and getting into a college university level. Everyone's life story is differently crafted. But everyone's dream is unique because everyone was living, they had struggled, they had lived through all these years to reach this class 12 stage. And all of a sudden, we had no answers for them. Today, I have answers to offer my young friends, but say if this was once again, end of March or April of this year, we really had to tell them one thing. Children, life comes with uncertainties sometimes. Every generation before me or mine, every generation before yours has gone through a global crisis, or at least a national crisis. Whether be it the First World War, whether be it the Second World War, whether be it the partition of India, whether be it the Naxalite movement, whether be it any wars across, or even the long famines in Africa, or the wars in the Gulf areas, generations have faced a crisis. Probably we have been the fortunate ones, and certainly I belong to that fortunate group of generation born in the 70s, who have actually had a very comforted, certain ritualistic lifestyle where you know that what morning would you get up, that you have an evening to look forward to, and if you studied, this is the marks that you would get, and that was a planned life. Even I was left with a lot of uncertainty. So probably all that we could offer you at that time was to tell you that at this time there are few things that's important. Even when you're faced with a very highly stressful life event, the first thing you do is take care of yourselves physically. Take care of yourselves with adequate sleep, rest, exercise, and nutrition. And mind it, this is a point that I will keep on telling you. Even though your results are out, even though now you know that the people who are just going to go for college direct admissions, you know that you can start applying. And then people who will be taking the competitive exams like NEET and the others, will still have to wait for those uncertain months forward before the final test. I think, if I'm not right, September is the tentative date till now that is being declared. We still do not know till the tests are taken, but be reminded, a way will be found out. This is something that you know this in uncertain times, not just for yourself, but every one of us. So first of all, you must look after yourself physically, even now, with a good routine, because a certain system will come out. Universities across the world, even the Association of Universities, International Association of Universities, even on their website, they have given us a load of resource materials. They have shared with us a lot of advices and guidance. So the UNESCO web page is a very resourceful page for us to reflect and look back upon, because this is a crisis that's not just affected one country. This is a crisis that not just has affected one nation or one family. This is a crisis that has affected the whole world. And therefore, international organizations are coming up with certain rules of how to readjust the curriculum, how to revise the syllabus, and even reconsider the admission processes so that children like yourselves who are into this stepping stone of the future university level will not be affected, dramatically. Of course you are affected, there's no denying it. I'm not trying to cover up anything here at all. Whatever is at stake is at stake. You guys have done a tremendous lot of hard work to reach to where you were, and to this level of class 12, your preparations. And you have courageously faced the stressors, and you know what the seriousness of this problem was. But you have to be patient. As I was saying, generations before me and before yours have faced many crises. And what has history shown us? This is the time, my young friends, to go back and read the challenging historical anecdotes, because history teaches us what life sometimes our experiences not. We all won't have the whole fortune to go through all the good events of life or all the adverse events of life. But history has taught us that it is the time of trials, time of crisis, time of tribulations that make you stronger. And I am sure that this batch of 2020, in 20 years' time, will make us extremely proud because you have shown that resilience and hope and the courage to survive the uncertainties of the last 3 months of not even knowing whether you'll have to sit for your paper again. And I'm sure each and every one of you, till all your respective boards said that no more retakes of exams will be taken, you were getting up every morning and revising those subjects which you still thought you had to appear for. And I'm sure after you realized, okay, you don't have to sit for any test, you were relieved. But quite a few were not relieved because they were worried. How would it really reflect my true ability? If I do not get that XXX score, will I get admission into the ZZZ admission universities that I want to? So uncertainties were always there. And even after the results, with all the scientific basis, the statistical calculations, the nearly fair results that has come out across all the boards, I'm sure a few of us were disappointed in the end. And also there were a few lucky ones who said, oh, thank God I didn't have to go through the audit again and sit to the papers. I'm happy with what they are. But children, whoever you are, wherever you are, whoever is listening to this talk, all that we want to say is, you have to be patient. You have to realize that this was your testing time in your generation. This was your testing time for your family. And it will not go away straight away. You still have to continue to do certain things. And what are they? Number one, as I always say, look after yourself. Because if you don't look after yourself, no one will. Number two, you must take out time to rest and relax, whether you take a walk or do a gardening, reading, listening to music, whatever. You must do that. Number three, you should work in collaboration with everyone. Talk to your friends, keep that social networking going. Use technology to its greatest advantage. Today, we are glued to technology in the most positive sense we've ever been. Gone are the times, even 10 days ago before the lockdown, parents like me would tell off my children and say, leave your smartphone and do your work. In 10 days' time, as soon as the lockdown was announced, even someone stoic like myself had to revamp my, completely change my mindset and say, I'm glad the technology has supported my children to continue the education. Of course, I realize it is not the best, it is not the complete alternative to classroom teaching, because classroom teaching is not just covering a syllabus. Classroom teaching is beyond that. It is much of an education where people interconnect with each other. You get your teachers talk to each other, a bond, a friendship, a mutual respect, a love and discipline sets in life. And that's what makes you. It's not just the textbooks that make you you. It is what you learn in school from your teachers, from each other, your friends, those laughter moments, the sharing and the caring and eating and during tiffin times and lunch breaks. That's what makes it. So in a way, this 2020 batch was a little luckier than quite a few of the other batches, probably, because you got to complete your school career and you got the best of the time spent with your friends, that you should proudly hold on to those moments. As a psychiatrist and as a mother, I always believe that you must hold on to the positive things in life. If there are 100 negatives pulling you down, look out for that one positive instance that will bring you forward in life. Because you must remember that go within every day. This is a beautiful quote from Catherine Dunham, which I remember, that go within every day and you find inner strength so that the world will not blow your candle out. Never let the world blow your candle out. Even if there are 100 winds coming along, that one little wind will protect your candle till the end. So you are that 2020 batch who is now on the threshold of pass out. You have now what you have. You should be positive. Never fear. Fear should never be able to touch you in any way. Because you had the opportunity to witness this trail of inspiring moments by your acts of patience, by your family's acts of support and encouragement, by your government's acts of setting down rules to prevent what? To prevent the spread of the illness. There was a reason, my dear children, that this lockdown had to be implemented to protect yourself. Of course, we've not been able to protect many of us. That is true. That's a sad reality of life. But the numbers could have gone worse if those measures were not taken. So, in a way, you were affected. But think of some other children in most years, remember, dear children, that someone or the other in your position have lost a year. Probably before the exams, they've not been well themselves or been through any untoward times or some trauma in the family, that they've not been able to take the exam and they had to wait a whole year to come across. You, fortunately, are not alone in this. You are together in this. And you will not lose a year. You will probably be delayed. But use this time. Use the time to your advantage. Abroad, in Western countries, people take children just at your age, either just when they're starting universities or maybe a year or two later down the line, they take a year out. And that's called a gap year. What do they do in this gap year? They explore, they grow, they learn, they travel, they do voluntary work. They create themselves or recreate themselves at times. This is your opportunity to learn certain things new. So don't live or linger on with the pessimistic thoughts that, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I don't know what the uncertainties are. You don't have to think about it. Someone beyond you is looking after you. Whether it's your family looking after you, whether it's the government, the agency, the educational systems looking after you, or whether if the supreme power is looking after all of us. Your work is just to keep on being focused to where you are, number one. Think about the admission processes, or if you have the competitive exams coming up, focus on that. Maybe you've not had the time, all the rushing around, my goodness, you guys had to do, right from the morning till the evening with all your extracurricular activities, your tuitions, balancing your school syllabus grades and then your competitive, because I know for children in science streams, they have to cover the ISC syllabus, then they have to cover the IIT, it's that I don't even want to go through all that you've been through. You have been through a lot of hard work preparing for all these years. Probably now it's a little time to slow down and just think how you're going to make use. So if you've not had time to revise, sit down, focus, and revise your stuff. If you've got competitive exams and if you've already got your marks and you're going to apply for your colleges, just start the process. Just do what everyone is doing. This is not the time to start thinking negatively. Also, I would encourage you to use this time to the utmost and start building your CV from this stage. Children, a lot of people, right from see, after you graduate, you'll be looking for jobs, or you'll be doing higher studies, whatever. But this is the time, because with online learning across the world, opportunities have risen dramatically. Therefore, make this make this opportunity to start learning something, create your portfolios, learn, I don't know for what, but there's so many things, like professional development skills or management skills or computer skills or even writing skills, basic skills, whatever things are in certain things, extra things in mathematics. So go and get those. And most universities, a lot of them are offering free things, or you start, do something. What I'm saying is do something constructive that will help with your CV. Even volunteering, charitable work, if there's an opportunity in a safe place, of course. I'm not saying please don't expose yourself to anything that's not safe. If you find something that you can do online, maybe talk to people for online. A lot of elderly people are not, and you don't need to do it formally. Even your family members, find out if there's an elderly relative who needs your time. Do these small philanthropic work. Just log on to them, spend some time talking to your elderly family members. Because a lot of them are alone. So I know some children have been delivering medicines in their complex that they live, or helping to run little errands locally, of course, abiding with all the rules and regulations. These are the values in life that probably you never had the time, even though you probably had the intention, the desire to do it, you've not had the time to do it. So this is your time to learn the skills of life, because marks, grades, admissions, assessments will be there, but they will not be the ones that will sustain you. It is you, your personal skills, your humanitarian skills, your ability to adjust with people, your ability to help people when they need. These are what we call the soft skills. So these soft skills will actually help you to be the ace person in the community 20 years time. You see, we will get to know how hard it was for you 2020, only 20 years down the line, when you have achieved, when you're in your late 30s and early 40s. That is the time when you will be at the peak of your professional career. And we want to see some of the brightest, not just in the brains, but the brightest in the attitudes, making us all proud. We should be the proud Indians to see you guys at that stage. So children, make this time to grow yourself in a variety of ways. So either learn something, or pursue a new hobby if you want to, or start helping people and start building your character skills, your moral skills, so that you are contributing safely to the community. The next important point that I would like to go through is something called self-reflection. See, this is a time, it's a very turbulent time, okay? It goes without saying that a lot of agencies and a lot of people have started rethinking about the conventional mode of education. We know digital education is coming out as a viable solution to fill in the void for classroom education for a certain period of time. But a complete revolution in the way that we learn today has also been brought about by technology, and you have already been part of it. But probably you guys not had to do all this online schooling, which the other classes are doing, right from, I was surprised to know even a kindergarten student and a class 1 student and a class 2 student are having to do 2 hours of online lessons. Of course, I've got 2 school children in class 7 and 10, and they are having very structured online classes. And I must say, from a very practical experience, though initially we had these glitches, things are working out well. You see, have great faith and respect for your teachers. I think they have been, and I will digress this topic from students, just to reflect and pause on those teachers who have actually sacrificed humongous amount of, their time, their skills, their family time to continue this education for the children, who are in school. And I also think, the college students are also getting a lot of online work, but, the teachers had to change themselves. So this whole, they had to adapt themselves dramatically. Within few days, they had to get all their gadgets at home ready, get all the network connected ready, create this work for you. Why? For them, it was the education of the children. Because the children are like their own child. So that's, I think, so what I was saying is have faith on your teachers, because on your system, because they will come up with an idea. For this particular batch of 2020, we do not know when and how your colleges will open, but probably what will happen is once admission processes are over, once the competitive exams are over, I want to show you, even say I'm a doctor, so I've got a little bit more knowledge of how the other medical colleges in the country and in the state are operating. What they have done is they've all switched to online. So the students are not missing out. Of course, as I keep on saying, we're not replicating it. We cannot replicate digital technology with online, but probably in a few years' time, the hybrid mode will come along, because this is going to catch up very soon. But you know what? Seriously, people who have access to smartphones, technology, internet access, they are still able to continue. So for you, my dear children, When it comes to you starting your colleges, you will start probably your online lessons. So rest assured, don't worry about that. There'll be lots of resources. Even if you don't get your books, you can't go out to buy your books. Lots of universities have opened up their online books. Many universities are converting the books into PDFs. The teachers are uploading materials. So the whole internet is now flooded with materials. So please be relaxed and reassured for that. At this moment, you have your results. You start your admission processes. You have your upcoming competitive exams. Please be sure something will come out of it. You know, everyone is worried for you. Everyone realizes that you are the ones, the children of this universe are the ones who are most affected. Because see, as adults, we are going out, but you are losing out on your career in a lot of ways. So things will turn out to you. But in this meantime, look after your physical health, look after your emotional health, grow on your skills, learn on your interpersonal relationship skills, your communication skills, your hobbies, and of course, be prepared. Prepared for what? Prepared for a completely new e-learning process that you will realize that it is going to make you rethink from the conventional mode of education. Because e-learning requires a lot more motivation, a lot more discipline, and it requires a lot more structure. So you start preparing yourself from now on mentally that I'll probably have to go through this. See, it's always best to prepare a little bit more and prepare for the worst. That when you don't have to face that worst, you will feel much more relaxed because you were very confident. I was already prepared for this. So be prepared that you may not actually be able to join a real university. You may not be able to walk into this university this year, but you will walk into a virtual university. Every one of us, even myself as a doctor, we are doing virtual clinics these days. We have times and slots where I just sit. It's my virtual clinics. So I've got space. I sit in my chamber and I just do virtual clinics. So patients don't come, but patients are very satisfied in that way. Every opportunity we look for every situation of crisis, look for the opportunity. That's what I want to say. For every situation of crisis, look for an opportunity. And what is your opportunity? Your opportunity today is you have access to a huge material resource that we had never had before. You have access to opportunities across the world, to join universities. And a lot of universities are going to give a lot of discounts and concessions and a lot of flexibility in admissions as well, so that children who are going to get admissions this year, 2021 batch, across the world are not compromised. So you have to start preparing yourself. You have time to prepare yourself because, as you know, UNESCO has estimated that about 32 crore students are affected in India. And that's a humongous number of people. So government has come up with e-learning programs. EdTech firms are trying to leverage the occasion. They're doing online classes. They're giving attractive discounts on e-learning modules. And they're also doing remote learning sessions. So in a way, and I'm sure because you've joined in this session today, you have access to internet. You have access to a digital technology processor, like a laptop, whatever. Be grateful. Just like as I said, be proud that you've shown resilience and you've come to this stage. Be also grateful for what you have, because there are hundreds and millions of children of your age that probably have no clue whether they'll be able to continue this education. And there's a great fear. Children in the remote villages, children who of the low socioeconomic backgrounds, who do not have access to digital technology learning, especially girl children will be dropping out earlier than they used to. So be grateful that you have this facility and be great and make most of it, because when you're flexible, when a situation comes, you will be the winner in the end, because it is a survival of the fittest. The old theory, survival of the fittest, is again standing in front of us today. Why do you need to be fit? That is why I said the first two things. Yourselves physically fit children and yourselves psychologically fit. You have to keep yourself physically and mentally fit because you don't want to reduce your immunity. You don't want to reduce your immunity and be affected by this deadly virus, of course, and pray to all. And you know what, seriously, guys, I saw a patient who was admitted to an ITU. I did a video consultation with this patient who is only 17 years old, dropped out of the studies last year, and started helping his dad. This poor guy met with a bike accident 8 days ago, and I was consulted last night in a very close by hospital. And he has actually got the virus as well on top of that. So he's here, he was there in the hospital bed with his broken arms. And I was talking to him because he's COVID positive. I didn't want to go and see him there. So we did a virtual consultation. So there he was, and of course the visitors were restricted to him. So there he was, broken arms, COVID positive, 17-year-old, just crying, telling me, I just want to go home. So you have to protect yourself. Because this virus may just linger on. To be honest, no one knows. For one, I do not know. So please don't even ask me this question. I'm clueless how long this is going to work, what is going to happen, whether the vaccine is round the corner, not round the corner. When it comes, we'll all be aware of it. So let's just wait for the time to come. But in the meantime, I will have to prepare myself. I'll give you a small story. It just said that, there was this is like a mythological story. It said the rain gods had, there was a fight in the heaven, as you know, the Indian mythology stories, but I love to read them because they always come with a moral in the end. The rain gods had a fight, so of course it was declared with that god Indra that there will be no rains. So all the farmers were told there'll be no rains. So everyone was just sitting and chilling out. They said they were just sitting there. They did nothing. Apart from one farmer who every day religiously used to go and plow the fields. And everyone used to make a fun of him, mock him and say, why are you doing this? You know the rains will not come. Now, what the gods had said actually is only when Lord Shiva starts playing his Damru, then only the rains will fall. And there was a fight with, in the mythology, I don't remember the fight, but the thing is, Lord Shiva said he's not going to play the Damru. So Indra said there'll be no rains. Fine. So this one farmer went on tilting the land and everyone made fun of him. So one elderly person asked him, why are you doing this every day? This good? He said, well, I don't know. The rains might suddenly come one day. And if I'm not prepared, then I will miss the opportunity. I will de-skill myself. I will not even know how to hold the plow. And how am I going to feed my family then? Well and done, they still carried on. One day, this conversation was heard by Goddess. And she thought, well, the same de-skilling will happen to Lord Shiva. If he doesn't keep on playing the Damru, he will forget how to play it. So he goes and tells Lord Shiva, Lord, no, you will be de-skilled. If you don't play the Damru, then how will I know whether you know it or not? And Shiva is someone who's very sentimental. He just said, what do you mean I've forgotten how to play the Damru? Let me show you. And he started playing the Damru. And remember what was said? When Shiva plays the Damru, it's going to rain. And all of a sudden, it rained. Now what had happened? Every farmer, no one was prepared. And this was only one farmer who was completely prepared for this. And therefore what happened? He had the best yields. So my point of view is, one day this time will go. This too shall pass. This has been a statement flooded across the internet. This too shall pass and we shall overcome. Of course we will overcome. We've overcome many, many times. History has shown civilizations have overcome many crises. Probably as a generation we are facing this for the first time. That's why we are so worried about it. Yes, we shall overcome. But we must not lose our skills. So keep on practicing your skills. Look after your health. Keep on practicing your skills and have a positive frame of mind so that you know when the lockdown, when this COVID, deadly corona, the COVID decides to say, bid us, it won't bid us goodbye. This is a virus which has been there for years. It has never manifested in the way it's manifesting now. We've read about this when I was studying medicine as well. So it's always been there. So, but it will rid us of this pandemic situation. It will rid us of this lockdown situation across the world. Then what will happen is you will know, you'll be ready. do to start preparing for your future. And that is all that you need to do at this stage. So, in terms of your mental health, we are aware that you might sometimes be experiencing anxiety attacks, panic attacks, feeling low in yourself, feeling frustrated, not happy with things. You might sometimes have a predisposition or an interest to go and try out some drugs or whatever. But my advice would be there's nothing to feel low or sad or worried on your own. Okay? Don't do it on your own because there's always help from people. You can find out. You talk to people. You have counselors. Your school madam is here. And I'm just talking to ma'am before we started this conversation, this session. She's received quite a few calls because it is a stressful time for all of you. It is a stressful time for yourselves, your families, because you're not used to, staying in this home environment for 24/7. Even I was not used to cooking for my children 4 times a day, I'll be very honest with you, because they go to a day boarding school. So I'm having suddenly to understand, my goodness, how long? But then I think, see, this is an opportunity probably I'll never get in my life again to do it with my children. So let's make the most of it. So instead of thinking, oh, everyone's getting along with each other, everyone's getting on my nerves, it's a very heated environment at home, take a step. Spend some time, you take the responsibility of creating that lovely atmosphere in your own family. So, just like you're looking after yourself, you have to look after your own family as well. So maybe, every evening tell everyone, okay, we'll have a chai, samosa and a board game session. So make, say, half an hour to 45 minutes every evening between 5 to 6, 6:30. Get a little tea, biscuits, make it for everyone. This is your time, guys, to learn some cooking skills. You'll be going abroad or you'll be going across everywhere, across the country studying, and you have to do your own things. So if you haven't learned how to do all these things, this is your time to learn, to become your own chef. And, serve tea, make some tea. See, even your family members, your elderly people need your time. They've not had a time to sit and chat with you for many, many years, and probably they won't have it again. So make use of your time, create some family bonding, play some games with them. Maybe an elderly person, grandma, grandpa's at home, spend some time with them. Then, of course, what you do is other things that creates a lot of anxieties, of course, relationships inside, if you've not, if you are in a relationship, you've not been able, the physical distancing has been difficult, you've not seen them. But this is a time testing thing, a lot of couples work miles apart. A lot of people work in different places. And remember, as we said, whenever you think, oh, this particular situation is causing me so much of grief and so much of hurt, convert that into a positive thought and think, how am I going to make this situation and learn from it? Because the more you learn from a situation, the more you come out of it and the better things out of yourself. Okay. Now, maybe we can have some question and answers.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, Dr. Bandyopadhyay, as ma'am said, very inspiring that this too shall pass and we need to have a positive bent of mind. Ma'am, we do have one question from the audience. We will take that. Shomik Narayan Chattopadhyay, well, a final year college student, how can he prepare for his upcoming career during the pandemic when the job market is not looking very prospectus? How
Yes.
does one cope?
The job market is not looking prospectus, true. But some research internationally is showing there are certain areas like tourism, leisure, these sort of industries will travel, tourism. These will take a much longer time to revive, and recruitment in this will not be very great. But other industries, like health industries and a lot of which ones called them. Other franchises or things are still recruiting. A lot of companies are recruiting that way. So keep an eye on things, because what is being said is lot of companies are not advertising very broadly yet. So it might be a good way to start proactively applying for these companies. So you go on their websites, try to get these numbers, try to go and find these people on LinkedIn and see who the key people are. Start preparing your CVs. And as we said, Start researching about the particular areas that are available. See, this is the time you have to be a little bit more flexible in what you want to apply for. You may not apply for job A, just like in life. If your plan A doesn't work, you always keep a plan B. So you look for your plan B jobs. If your plan A job is the one that is not in the best of business areas now, so you find out, research about what is the second best option for you, and then you start finding out what is needed. What are the recruiters wanting? So you start linking up with them. See, in this area of global technologization, you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to their Twitter, and you can find out who are the key post holders of that particular company. And then you start building your CV. As I said, this is the time to grow yourself, and you do those courses that will give you an extra edge. So when recruitment starts, don't think, oh gosh, I wish I had done that. You should never think, I wish I had done that. I wish, because then you won't have time. So start planning, research it, and be very proactive. And I'm sure things will click for you. Yes, of course, it will not click for you today. It will click for you tomorrow.
Indira, let me initiate a few points of discussion with Dr. Ray Bandyopadhyay. What she said, I'm completely in agreement with her. Nothing in this world should be considered as a challenge. Every challenge has an opportunity behind it. Secondly, what I feel is that this is a time which should be well utilized. Dr. Bandyopadhyay also has mentioned that make good use of this time. Students, I know that classes will not commence so soon. You have to look for admissions in various places. There too, once even after you get admitted, classes will not commence because of various guidelines.
I mean, physical classes will not commence, but we are hoping online classes will commence. Isn't that right?
Yes, but again, like for instance, the results were delayed, and some more results are awaited. So admission process will go on. It will not end so soon. Maybe till the middle of the year admission or throughout the year admissions might go on. Nothing has
We
been
don't know. No one knows the answer. That's the problem.
No one knows the answer.
No one knows. Yes. The first thing is to keep safe and stay alive. That's the first thing.
Absolutely. So make good use of this time. Reskill and upskill yourself. Because the new world that we'll be facing soon will require new skills which none of us know or none of us have learned, nor our generation nor your generation. No one has ever thought of the new ideas, concepts, requirements of the future. Industries will have requirement of new technologies. So try and equip yourself as much as possible with such new skills. There are online various courses, for instance, Coursera or EduTech, and there are many more where you can even get certificates free of cost. They are offering, or at a minimal expense. Make good use of it. See, I at times repent that if only I could have got some extra time to learn something more or to get a few more certificates. But unfortunately, I didn't get the time. But you are fortunate that you've got the time. Make good use of that time. Utilize it. That's one. As for the challenges, yes, mentally, students are disturbed. They don't know what their future has in store for them. But similarly, look at, as Dr. Bandyopadhyay was saying, that the faculty, we ourselves, the people who are on the administration side, none of us were used to do such a lot of online meetings, we still would prefer to go and meet a boss and across the table crash things out. But everything has to be done over the phone or on the screen. The little kids, the nursery kids, they are having to face so much of screen hours, which might in the later days affect their eyesight. We never know. But we have to adjust ourselves. Adjustment is the key word. Adjust yourself to the present conditions. Don't lose hope. We should not lose hope. I'm sure, as I was saying, that it's not a challenge, it's an opportunity. You never know, things would be better for us, for all of us. The world might become a better place to live in after this. What do you say, Dr. Bandyopadhyay?
I absolutely agree. As I said, it's your be hopeful, your positivity. Acceptance is hugely important here. We all have to accept that there's nothing we can do about it. It's not intentional. We are fighting something against nature, and if nature wants to be hard on us and testing us, it will do it. So, but there are certain things we have to learn from this experience itself, and be kind to nature. A lot of things we have to keep on doing it, and then of course be prepared for adversities. But of course, the optimism is that, and the strength and the resilience. These are the three things: your hope, your strength, and resilience are what will, in the end, will make you the fighter, the winner. And it has always been some people, who fought with adversities in life, who come out through challenges. But here it's a situation where all have to do it together. So yes, a lot of answers, we do not have the answers to everything. And life is full of uncertainties. Life is sometimes full of unexpected things. We miraculously might actually have a vaccine tomorrow. Or, tomorrow, I mean in the next year, very soon. And then all these, then you will think, oh gosh, just like Madam Bose said, why did I not make most use of my time? Because probably you were thinking it's going to last till 2021. Some people are saying it might last till 2021. So we just shouldn't just call ourselves under the duvet and say, okay, let me take some time rest. No, don't do that. Imagine it's going to end soon. You prepare and you plan for the future. That is one of the best ways we can take this forward. And of course, there will be some form of delays. But in this huge span of life, when we expect to live till 70, 74 years, a 6-month, 1-year delay in a formal academic way. See, there's a delay only in the formal academic pathway. There is never a delay in your personal growth. A personal growth is not just about studies. A personal growth is a much more holistic thing, that we grow in a lot of skills, that we grow in a lot of our attitudes, we grow in a lot of our creativity. So this is the time to rejig a few things and prioritize a few things in life, and make most of the time. That is all that I would actually want to add on.
Ms. Nandini, principal of our John Dwight College, I think she wants to talk to Dr. Bandyopadhyay.
Hello, Madam.
Gupta.
Good evening, ma'am.
Nandini.
Ma'am, good evening.
Hello. Hello.
Yes,
good evening
madam.
to everybody. Hello, Dr. Rajashree. I was very intently listening without any interruption, disturbance by, unmuting or anything of that sort, because it was really, really very beautiful to listen to you. I'm quite sure the children who have been listening to you would definitely benefit much. It was very precise, and I guess, in fact, I have commented in the chat box also, very precise, pleasant, and prudent advice is given. I agree with you in totality. The patience, yes, the resilience has to be built in the children, I believe. Isn't it, Inadi?
Yes, of course. I'm sure our the pass out students of our Techno India Group Public School, they are going to benefit larger way from Dr. Bandyopadhyay's talk.
Absolutely.
And I wish them all success, all the best. But as Dr. Bandyopadhyay was saying, they need to have patience. They need to
yes.
Great. Anindita, would you like to say something?
Um, it's a very positive speech, ma'am. We must follow all the tips for self-growth and self-reflection, and moreover to become more self-resilient. It's a very good presentation and very good speech. But I would like to just know when students or parents will go to the mental health professionals for the mental health support. What are the red flag signs for that?
I
As far
think
as I know that interference with personal, social, or occupational life, then I will go for the mental health professional help. I will go. Other than that, is there any red flag signs?
yes, I think it's a very good point. So thank you for raising it. I think children usually we find because of see they start becoming very frustrated. Sometimes they become a little aggressive. Sometimes they keep on saying I'm bored. Boredom takes over. Sometimes they become part of domestic violence. There is an increase in screen time which is needed, but there's usually a lot of, even apart outside their working hours, the screen time becomes a salient feature in their lives, which means they start neglecting everything, but just get hooked to the screen times, and probably what they're doing is playing games or internet gaming resort things, or they're just getting into YouTubes or other videos. That's what they're doing. Or if you find them getting irritable with their siblings, or they're tearful sometimes, or their concentration is not very good, the restlessness sets in these people. So these are some of the subtle signs. And also sleep and appetite can get affected. So generally they are becoming cranky kids, irritable, a bit frustrated, always saying I'm bored, spending a lot of time on screen, aggressiveness towards their families or siblings, sleep and appetite, neglecting, keeping long hours, not engaging in a routine. Realistically, these are the subtle signs which we would say don't neglect them, start getting help early on, because the sooner you start exploring the reasons behind it, the easier it is to nip it in the bud and help the child move forward. Because 24/7 this has become, and as unfortunately today is also 24/7. The date was 24/7 today. So 24/7 into this particular thing. See, let me be honest. I go out much more often. My children are not going out. Okay. So they're all stuck at home, and you see, parents have been so disciplined. We go out on the streets, even on the days when the roads are very crowded in Kolkata. You don't see children on the roads. Okay, so these kids have been used to such a hectic life. Imagine not just this class 12 children, all children. So they've had a very remarkable drastic routine changes. So I think it's a very good question. Thank you for raising this, Anita. If you see these signs and symptoms coming along, please seek help. Your school counselors, your university counselors are the best friends and the best person to go and contact them first, and then they will be the ones to guide you.
Thank you.
Along with the children, Dr. Bandyopadhyay, it's also the senior citizens like me. I'm stuck indoors for over a month now, over 4 months now. Haven't been out of my apartment. My family members will simply kill me if I go out, because I have a few health issues along with my age and other things. So not only the children, we are also stressed.
Yes,
we are also facing many challenges. But again, finding opportunities, even at this age, I'm trying to learn up new things. And of course, at least 6-7 hours I'm online conducting various activities. So again, take these up as opportunities, not challenges.
Yes, ma'am. And of course, looking after the physical health is very important. People would say, I can't go out for a walk, but of course, even within the little সীতার সেই গণ্ডির মধ্যে আমরা এখন সবাই বন্ধন হয়ে আটকে গেছি, তো সেই সীতার গণ্ডির মধ্যেও কিন্তু we can start doing some exercises or aerobic exercises or something or the other, just stretches, just moving around, climb your stairs, whatever. See, we can come up and give us 100 excuses of not doing it. But let's be honest, if we don't do it, no one else can make us do it, and there'll be no help around to help us out of this crisis. We are already in a crisis. let's not get into another pandemic. Once this pandemic is over, let us not get into another mental health pandemic or another physical health pandemic. Okay? So let's try to fight this with all the reasonable resources we have, remembering one thing, that it's a unified crisis we are battling. Okay? So if the other one can do it, and be helpful, we have these small groups together. We encouraging elderly citizens as well to form groups, play Ludo online, play Carom online, get into small groups, or listen to do a watch film together. So these are things, all these Facebook, YouTubes, they're creating for us little technological advances, which is going to somehow help the physical distancing or combat the physical distancing issues and help into much more social integration.
But there's one problem with the students who are outside the metropolitan cities, especially in the rural areas or the North Bengal areas, because many of our schools are in the North Bengal zone. They are facing problems with the bandwidth, with network issues and all. So online things are not that easy for them. Attending the classes either from laptop or at the most from their mobiles, or if they have a smartphone, that's the only thing that they can do. We can't expect them to keep themselves engaged in online activities as much as we can do. But then I would suggest, get yourself this opportunity to be closer to the environment, be with the birds and animals around you, be with the trees and plants around you, try to make yourselves more environment friendly. This is again an opportunity to do that. And for the students, I would say those who are idle, trying to find out things to keep them occupied, I would suggest that time and again, whenever you find time, visit Sister Nivedita University's YouTube page or the Facebook page of Sister Nivedita University. You'll find many videos. We've been conducting various webinars on different topics, be that cybersecurity, be that augmented reality and virtual reality, or on psychological issues like this. On various issues, we've been conducting webinars. So those listening to those will definitely give you some added advantage. So I would suggest whenever you find time, visit the Facebook page of Sister Nivedita University Industry Connect or the YouTube of Sister Nivedita University. Your free time will be well utilized, I would say. Next Sunday, coming Sunday on the 26th, from 6:30 p.m., we'll be having a session and webinar where experts from various domains will talk on career prospects, or what subjects you can choose, what career opportunities you have now, etc. So we'll be sending you links, try to access, and it will be again live on YouTube. In case you don't get an opportunity to get the links, enter the YouTube on Sunday, 26 at 6:30 p.m. Sister Nivedita University YouTube. I'm sure you'll get some sort of guidance about your career opportunities. Dr. Bandyopadhyay, Indira, are there any more questions? No, I don't.
Not really.
Thank you, sure. Rajashree. We've been so lucky, so fortunate to have you with us. I'm sure it'll be there on the YouTube. People later on also can access it and listen to your talk.
Thank you very much for having me. I wish everyone a very good health, and hope you all come out of the situation very soon. Good luck.
On behalf of Sister Nivedita University, a very big thank you to you. Good night, everybody.